Okay, it started.
Has it started or?
Yeah, sorry, it started.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I thought I said
Um,
that.
so, um, so did everyone get the chance to look at um, the video and the chapter 6 um, reading? Yeah.
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 Okay. Okay. Yeah, we're supposed to just find the similarities, like just the different concepts that they covered in both. Um, I don't know. What I did is I just looked, I watched the video first, and then I went through the reading and highlighted all the parts that I saw that were covered in the video. And so, I don't know. I guess I'll just start, and then we can just go down the line. Everyone can say different things that they found in both the reading and in the video. One thing that I found was under relational resilience. It says emphasizing a collaborative process and seeking to identify and build on strengths and resources. So I don't know. This therapist did like an amazing job of making a process of like what exactly was happening, like what was the core problems within the family, and so he identified them, but he also like built on their strengths. Like the mother was super caring, and the daughter like um she was actually like loving and missing her brother. It wasn't just about her yelling at him. um so that was just one concept I found. Does anyone have another one? Do you want to just go down the line? It'll just be easier. Allison, do you want to start?
Yeah. Yeah, for mine, I focused on Walsh's collaboration and teamwork, and the therapist, um, like the trend, he kept asking the family at the end to talk to one another, set aside time to talk about things that um, could help them be less worried about Jimmy. And I thought it was really important that he focus on the connectedness of the husband and wife. And he asked the husband to ask his wife on a date so they could just have time alone and just like get together and get to know each other more. And then he also he asked the whole family like to go out for sodas and just not focus on like being worried about Jimmy, just like talk about something else because the family was focusing on him a lot, and so just like to focus on something else. And I think the therapist did a really good job about emphasizing um, teamwork and how that's going to help their problem.
Yeah, because like the parents weren't like on the same page at all. Like the wife, she like acted like kind of taken aback when
Mm-hmm.
the dad was like, I don't really see it as that big of a deal," and she was like, "Oh," like they just weren't on the same page at all. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I think he said like he compared that to like her being the mama bear and how the mama bear is gonna protect her children if it like puts her a life in danger, and she was like worried he was gonna die like for the things he was doing, and the husband wasn't really worried he was gonna die. He was just afraid like the cops would take him home. So yeah, the mom was definitely more worried.
Yeah. So does anyone have anything to add to that, or should we move on to Kaylee?
No, I totally agree that, I don't know, it was just interesting watching them through the process of being able to talk about how they felt and just seeing like the different sides and how just their kind of miscommunication had led to all these different problems. There was something I was trying to find it and now I don't know what it is. It was talking about like cause and effect things and how that's something that you need to talk about because he did a really good job with that of just like, okay, well when this happens, this person feels this way, and just putting it into perspective of like when you do this, then this person feels this way and it makes this person feel this way, so just kind of the chain reaction of how it worked in the whole family was kind of interesting to see him pull all that together and just like talk about it in a way that made it make sense for them and for us as the viewers of what they're doing. It was just like, oh yeah, when you put it like that, you can totally see that that's what's going on and how one thing leads to the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it seemed like the other family members, they're like, oh, I guess, like that, oh, that's how they're feeling. I was feeling the complete opposite.
Yeah. True.
Okay, Kayla, did you find any similarities?
Sorry, who are we talking to? And you assume the Kayla's to.
Yeah, I was just asking if you had found any similarities.
Oh, yeah, definitely. What I was reading, one of the things that really stood out to me in the chapter that corresponded with that video was the clarifying ambiguity, which is a weird word I thought. Anyways, where the guy who's acting as the counselor, he kind of helped them understand their own thoughts as well as the thoughts of everyone around them by rephrasing things that they've said in more simple, easy to understand things, which basically he always started out, correct me if I'm wrong, or tell me if I'm saying it wrong, but yeah, you could see how everyone was kind of starting to understand what the other people were thinking and what they were thinking themselves, which I thought
Mm-hmm.
was kind of cool.
Yeah, sorry. For some reason. Oh, sorry. It's just you're cutting out for me. I don't know if you're cutting out for anyone else, but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got the gist of what you were saying.
I wouldn't be surprised. My computer has literally frozen on one screen, and so I'm gonna have to ask that you repeat the first things we talked about just so I can put them down on the summary.
Okay. Well, with like what you said too about how they were able to understand what the other family member was trying to say, like Jimmy thought he was a jerk to the family, like he thought the family didn't like him, and the mom thought Jimmy didn't like him, and everyone else thought the same thing, like people just don't like me, but really it was they cared, and they showed how they cared in different ways. Like the mom was yelling at Jimmy for being home late, and the sister was yelling too, and then Jimmy was kind of pulling away because he thought they didn't like him, so that's why he would stay out more because he didn't like being around them. And I think the therapist did a good job about what you said, just making them realize the feelings and actions, and they really did care, and it wasn't about they didn't like each other.
One thing too that I liked about the way that he approached it, Walsh talks about like after you talk about everything to refocus from your complaints to things you can do about it, because he didn't just like talk about all their problems and then just leave it there like, okay, now it's
Mm-hmm.
your problem. He brainstormed with them some ideas of ways that they could change it, talking about going on dates with, the husband and wife and reconnecting with the children so that they could, build on that relationship. So taking it away from like, okay, this is the problem to like, okay, what can we do about it? And I love just the process that he went through to get to that point, talking about it a lot and then like, okay, well, I can't solve your problem. So
Mhm.
what do you want to do about it was kind of his approach, and I really liked that.
Mhm.
Yeah, he wasn't just gonna give them the answer. Like he wanted them to sit down and find the right, just the right solution for them, which was really effective, I think.
And I like how he made everybody's like things that they were sharing. He made it seem like totally understandable and normal.
Mhm.
I thought that that really helped like everyone in the family. Like you could tell that when he would like rephrase it, they'd be like, "Oh."
Yeah.
I think that was one of the things that was in the chapters, reframing and relabeling.
Uh-huh.
And I liked with that too that he gave everyone a chance to talk. Like he would,
Oh
ask
yeah.
them directly, like, okay, well, how do you feel about this? Instead of just like asking one, a general question, and then whoever wanted to answer would answer. But he took the time to like ask each person, okay, how do you feel about this, and how do you feel about this, so that everyone felt important. And then after they gave their answer, then he validated what they said and turned it, kind of rephrased it like Mandy was saying and said it in a different way so that it made sense to everyone. And I just like the way that he was like talking to the parents. He's like, well, this person says this, whatever. I don't know, just to help everyone understand what was going on. It was
I also like how he focused on the sister as well, because I can see like how in a situation like that he could be spending all of the time with Jimmy and the parents, but instead like he made sure to ask the sister questions and make sure that she was involved in the conversation and that he was trying to rekindle their relationship as well, not just the parents and Jimmy, which is I think has got to be really important so that the whole family kind of goes back to the way they were when they were close.
Mhm. And I like noticed that too with the way he like kept asking them to like change places on the couch and the chair. I was just like, oh, that's so interesting. So when he tries to get like a point across and he likes to focus in on a certain person or relationship, he had them switch. And he did that like
Yeah,
three times, four, I don't know, like quite a
like
few.
before he had the dad ask the mom on a date, he like had them switch places so they were sitting by each other.
And then like towards the end, they were holding hands, like they were really like uptight, and then when they started talking about that, they were holding hands, and I thought that was really nice because it showed like they were understanding what the therapist was saying, and he was helping.
And I noticed that he also, when the parents sat by each other, the two siblings were sitting by each other, when he was focusing on the relationship that they had, or the relationship that they thought they used to have, and why that was important to them.
Mhm.
So another similarity that I found that I thought was super important that he did was that most serious life crises aren't limited to a single moment in time, but involve a complex set of changing conditions. And I just thought like that was super important, like how he didn't just talk about like how Jimmy was in high school or just this what's going on at this initial moment. Like he talked about the friends he hung out in high school and like what was going on now, and then like his future as well. Like it was focused on the past, present, and future, and not just one initial moment. Because when you look at a whole, I don't know, a whole crisis, like it's not just, it involves a timeline which he established with the family, which is important, I think.
Mhm.
I liked talked to them first and got to know them before he got into the actual problem, because that helps you establish like where they were in the past and where they are now, and helps you kind of see the difference. And so I think that, like you were saying, that's really important, because it's not just like one time things happen, you know. It's it's like over a period of time, and it's a process. And so being able to like see where they were as a family, and then where they are now, kind of helped to understand what had happened and what changes had been made so that they were having problems.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know, I was kind of not annoyed at the beginning, but like as the whole meeting went on, it made more sense as to why he asked them about like their hobbies and what they did as a family and all that kind of stuff. Because like at first I was like, shouldn't he be talking about their problems? They only have like an hour with him or something. But like as they got into the conversation and stuff, he was able to kind of like connect with each person because he knew what they liked and didn't like and did and didn't do and stuff like that. And so I think it helped everyone become just more open and willing to talk to him because he was just asking those personal questions at first, and I think that just helped open everyone up.
Mhm. Yeah, and by that doing that he's getting to know their talents and their strengths, and so he was praising their efforts and achievements. And I think that's one of them from Walsh.
Yeah, definitely.
And going along with that strengths part, like I liked that he showed them, okay, you two are more like each other, so you'll be able to understand and relate,
Mhm.
and just pointing that out to them because they might not have been able to see that. So that's playing on like their strengths, like, okay, well, you think this way, and so, you know, work it out with this person because they can relate to you and understand where you're coming from.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's one principle in the chapter that's called building empathetic connections with and between family members. And that's like basically what he did that entire time, like was making like connections between each family member and like with himself as their like helper. I thought that was really cool.
Another principle that I thought was interesting. It's under Making Meaning of Crisis Experience. And it just says, it's especially important to coach families to help children and vulnerable members to make sense of a crisis or threat and to provide reassurance that they will be cared for. And so I thought he did that with Jimmy really well. Like, Jimmy, you know, he was saying when they got to the root of the problem, he just felt like his mom was yelling at him, and so she didn't like him. And so by finally uncovering that for both Jimmy and the mom, he was able to help Jimmy realize that his parents do care for him, and he was able to maybe be more open with them about where he was going and what he's doing and who he's hanging out with and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And just make it just like a way more caring environment, because I mean, you don't want your son to feel like you don't like him and stuff like that. And so he was able to uncover that for them, which, of course, is going to help their relationship, not just in this one instance, but forever. So. Does anyone else have any similarities that stuck out to them?
I liked how at the end, like, he spent basically that whole time, like, getting all the information and everybody's side and perspective and everything. And then he's like, okay, what are we gonna do now? Like what steps are we gonna take to improve this? And I think there was like a few different things in the chapter that talked about the future, focusing on the future and having hope and like taking concrete steps to like make things better.
Yeah, there's a section on instilling hope and optimism. I think that's what you're talking about. Just like, okay, where are we gonna be in the future? Where do we want this to go?
Yeah, exactly. A lot of I feel like a lot of what I was talking about in the chapter was, making solutions and just finding a positive solution about, the situation and getting through the crisis together and not, um, not. So, yeah, that was a huge one.
Isn't that when he started talking to them about like how often they like just talk and they're like, oh, we don't really do that much.
Mhm.
I like how it was like towards the end of the chapter where it started talking about letting the family know that they're not like an abnormality, that what they're going through is completely normal, and it's normal. And so I like how he did it. He talked about his own family and how they're certainly not perfect, and that what they're going through is normal and it happens to every family, different situations and stuff, but there are always going to be stressors in a family. And so I liked how he did that because I think they were feeling like they were so abnormal and stuff, because they looked so relieved when he said that my family has lots of problems too. And so yeah, I thought that was important.
Yeah.
And I think that hearing that from a family therapist like this would mean a lot, because in your head you're thinking, oh, he already knows how to do everything to have a good family, to have a perfect family. And yet here he is telling me that he's had the same problems that we are. So I mean, I think it would be very relieving for them to know that even people who know a lot have that same problem.
Yeah, definitely. Does anyone else have any similarities? Um, the next bullet point says, note the trends of your findings as a group. So did everyone identify the same points, or were there points that not everyone caught? Does anyone have any thoughts?
I think for me, a lot of them were the same. Like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of what we've talked about were the things that I picked up on while watching
Mhm.
the session. So.
Yeah, everything was pretty clear. Like, I don't know. I thought the reading was really clear, and he definitely, and it was easy to see how he exemplified a lot of the concepts in the reading. So, so it says, the next one says to talk about your observations. Was anyone surprised by the findings or observations? kind of confused by that one because I feel like talking about our observations was the first bullet point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really like everything was clear with me too, so I don't know exactly what we're supposed to talk about with that. But I know, like for me, there was something confusing about him, I guess, when I watched him, because he kept making jokes, I guess, with the family. I don't know if that's to be more personable, but to me, I was like trying to see if that was like a principle like he was trying to do, like to be more like comfortable with them, but I don't know. Like that was confusing to me, like why he kept making jokes. I thought they were interesting.
Yeah, I thought the same thing too, like maybe that he was like trying to lighten the mood or something. I'm not sure either.
Yeah, he kept saying, like, before he would, like, suggest something, he was like, this might sound really dumb, but...
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
It
don't
was
know.
like he's trying to relieve tension.
Yeah, but sometimes it took away like the credibility of like what he's saying because he is a family therapist. And if you like come out with a suggestion, especially from his point of view, and you say it like, I think this is what you do, and not be like, well, you probably won't like this idea. If you say that, might not, then they'll actually be like, maybe this is not such a good idea, and then they will actually want to do it. But if you're just like, well, maybe you should try this, and don't really say anything else with it, then they might be like, oh yeah, that actually is a really good thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely felt like whenever he made a joke, it almost kind of ruined the mood because they were kind of getting ready to open up and I don't know, let everyone see how they were feeling and things, and then he would throw in one of his cheesy jokes that made no sense at all. And then everyone's like, are we supposed to be laughing? And they're so focused on that, and now they totally lost the feeling of being open and ready to share and just those emotions.
Yeah. Because I feel like most of them, they didn't even get what he was trying to be funny about. So then they're just like confused and they're like, well, I don't know what to say now.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially the kids. They were just kind of like look at him like,
Yeah.
I don't know whether to laugh right now or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I really wonder if that was a tactic he had or if it was just his personality.
I hope it's his personality. Because one of the things he said was, you wonder why I get paid for this.
Yeah.
I was just like, you're a family therapist, so you should be good at what you do. And he was. It's just, I don't know. He was just trying to be not so serious, but it came across as kind of like unprofessional to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a right and a wrong way to go about that. You can lighten the mood in different ways, but I don't know, just the way that he approached it was kind of on like lightening the mood. He did a great job at addressing what they needed, but
Did anyone else have any like general observations like that? Like, I don't know. One thing I was kind of like really surprised about was how the dad, I don't know. I felt like he just totally like switched sides because the mom, she acted at the beginning like they were thinking the same things and stuff, but then I don't know if he was just trying to, I don't know, make friends with his son or something, but then he just said how he didn't think that it was a big deal and how his wife was like freaking out and like he admitted that in front of like the kids and everything, and I was just like, I don't know, that's kind of a really big deal, I think, and so I was just really surprised how she reacted to that.
Can Can you give me water?
Like, he was very supportive of the mother. It seemed like he probably felt like so much bad had been said about Jimmy that he needed to put in some good. But it came across that he was, I don't know, not very supportive of his wife, or that he just wasn't home enough to really understand what was going on in the home, because they said a lot about him not being home. And so I could see how he doesn't think it's a big deal because he doesn't really realize just how long his son is gone.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. I'll be right back. I have to go get my charger.
I'm trying to think about what else I observed that was surprised by. I guess when the therapist asked Jimmy if he really was doing those things that his parents were afraid of and his sister was afraid of that he was doing, like drinking and doing drugs, and he said no. And the therapist asked him a couple times, like, if he really was doing those things. So I thought that was interesting because he kept asking, even though like he said no the first time. The therapist asked him again.
Yeah, and the sister was like so sure that he was drinking and using and stuff like that. And even with his sister there, but she knows the kind of friends he hangs out with, he was still like, no, I don't do that. So
Yeah. I mean, the sister at the beginning, she basically came out and said, I know he's doing these things, and my parents just don't want to accept that. And so I guess that would be really hard for Jimmy to build that relationship with his sister, that relationship that she wants so badly and misses, because she's treating him like he's this totally different person, which kind of in a way makes him become a different person and want to avoid her. So I just thought that was interesting how a lot of the breaks in relationships that people want to repair were there because they themselves put it there unintentionally.
yeah. Another thing, I just remembered this. I thought it was really interesting how, like, after the therapist was, done getting, like, just asking personable questions at the beginning, he just asked, so what brings you guys in today? Like, what's going on? And I thought it was interesting how, like, the parents, like, just, like, looked at each other and, like, they weren't saying anything. And then the sister was like, well, Jenny.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I thought it was interesting how, like, the parents didn't, like, I don't know, didn't say something first. They didn't really know what they wanted to say, or, like, I don't know. They were, like, taken, like, off guard by the question, which is weird, because that's why they went in. But, like, I don't know. I thought that was interesting how they had a hard time saying why they came in, but
That whole part was so awkward because you could just see Jimmy like off in his own little chair, just like looking at the ground. They were talking about his problems.
Yeah.
That's gotta
Well,
be
at
hard.
first when I was watching, I got so confused because I didn't know the two were parents. Like I thought they were
Yeah.
all, I thought they were like all like young, like the same age, like maybe college age, and then I realized like those are parents. I'm like, what? Everyone looks so young.
Yeah. I thought they were all siblings. Like, yeah, I don't know. It was weird.
Funny that.
But yeah, it was kind of strange how Jimmy was like in the chair of shame. I felt like because they came in talking about him, and he was just like in that chair alone. But I'm glad like the therapist like switched them around. I thought that was really good.
Yeah. Because I wonder if like the therapist started to think like they were like starting to like gang up on them because they were all having problems with the situation. Like the mom sounded like she wasn't handling it super well, and the dad was
Yeah.
kind of passive, and the sister was yelling at him, and like I think he wanted him to feel like he wasn't just like being picked on for an hour or something.
Yeah.
He's just in the spotlight. And track him down or whatever.
But I'm also glad the therapist brought up like the situation's completely normal. Like it's normal for Jimmy to like be in that like gap, I guess, between like he's an adult but barely an adult, so he doesn't know what he wants to do. And it's also normal for his parents to worry. But we covered that.
Yeah, I like how he said that like yeah, things are changing. But things like have to change, like just as kids get older, as they graduate high school and all that kind of stuff like happens, like there's going to be changes. Like yeah, he shouldn't be on a leash anymore, but like you need to accept change to be a parent because that's all parenting is a bunch of changes, really.
Yeah. I think Jimmy really just wanted to be treated like, I don't know, like a man, I guess you could say, where he had more freedom. And even though he was living at home and his parents thought that he should live by the rules, which he should, he still felt like he should have more freedom than he had in the past because now he's older, he's not in school, he's not in those kind of things. I think they just kind of, I don't know, they get in that mindset of you're still our child, you still have to act this way. Instead of thinking, oh, he is older, he is in a new stage. And I think the therapist kind of helped him realize that he was his own person, that he was going through the changes just like they were.
Yeah, I love how you brought that up because I know that's so true. Because even with my own family, with my oldest brother, like there was a lot of conflict because he was the first one to graduate, like to grow up and to want that independence, and my parents had a hard time letting that go and letting him become an adult. I feel like every parent has a hard time with that change because they have to let go of some of the power and control that they have, and that's got to be really hard on the firstborn. That would suck to be the firstborn because you don't get that freedom for a really long time. So, does anyone else have any observations in general about it? Okay.
That's all I got.
Yeah, that's fine. The next bullet point, it says, discuss and record how a treatment professional or paraprofessional might prepare to capitalize on such opportunities to introduce or reinforce the types of resiliency factors from Walsh's article. Let me try and find that part because I know I highlighted some stuff. Okay, so yeah, here's one part that I highlighted. It's just under encouraging shared efforts, concrete steps, and perseverance. It says, to foster family resilience, we need to create a therapeutic climate that maximizes the possibilities for members to be successful and to experience success as largely due to their shared efforts and abilities. And so, basically, just giving them that chance. I think the therapist did that by not telling them exactly what their solution was. He made it very open and was like, why don't you guys go and hang out? Why don't you guys come up with a plan that's going to work for you? Because every family is different. So I think that would make a family super resilient because that's not only, like, they're going to think about the situation, how they came up with a plan on their own, and when another problem arises, they're going to be able to probably not have to go see a therapist and be able to come up with a solution once again, like if they have problems with their daughter or whatever. So, yeah, just providing them that opportunity to figure it out for themselves. So.
Yeah, because it strengthens their family relationship, and they get to talk to each other and figure out how to meet everyone's needs. Because I feel like they each had kind of different needs, and so to figure out and talk to each other and figure out how to meet everyone's needs will help them, come closer together and build that resilience that they need.
Mhm.
Yeah, because he did like all the combinations. Like he's like, the parents need to get together, the siblings need to get together, and then the dad and son need to get together, and then the whole family needs to get together. Like he made it so that everyone was involved and everyone was getting their input. So. Did anyone else have anything from the article about resiliency?
There's something that I saw under core principles for strengthening relational resilience. There's like 4 bullet points, and one of them says reducing negative chain reactions that heighten risk for sustained impact and further crises. And that made me think about how like each of their reactions kind of like built off of each other, and he was kind of like having everybody like understand each other's like thought process and like basically stopping those chain reactions so they don't like get out of control again.
Yeah. I loved the way that he pulled them all together. It was just like, okay, when this person does this, this is what happens, because then they can see it in a broader perspective and, learn how to do something about it, I guess.
Yeah, I think with also that, with being resilient, you need to be able to control your emotions before their emotions manage them. So like with the mom, so if someone had a client like the mom who couldn't really control their emotions anymore and was kind of like reacting in a negative way to a situation, I think just staying positive and sharing mutual empathy and just being clear with how they communicate with the clients would help with resilience and for them to manage their emotions.
Yeah, I really liked how he handled her and how the son and dad were like talking about how like she would like freak out and stuff. I liked how he said like you would like these things would make it so that you would come out of character. Like these things aren't like typical of you. Like he made sure that she knew that if that wasn't like part of her and her personality. Like it wasn't. I don't know. I just thought he handled that really well. With her.
Yeah, and what you just said kind of made me think that him saying that it was her being out of character, I think was also for the benefit of the son and the father, so that they could be reminded that that's not really who she is, that is an abnormality, instead of where the son is probably thinking, oh, my mom's always angry, that's just how she is, that's how she's always going to be every time I come home. I think it was kind of a reality check for him to see, oh, that's her out of character, not who she really is, it's her in rare situations.
Yeah, that's very true. I know we already touched on this a little bit, but I think it applies to this question as well. But like, it's just professionals need to let their families know that there are imperfections within every family, and so they. It says, by viewing flaws not as defects, but instead as part of being human, our therapeutic approach should foster the belief that mistakes and failures are normal aspects of life, especially under stressful conditions. And I think that I think that would also like help the mom become more resilient, because like she was acting out of character and she was like freaking out and stuff, and but making it helping her realize and the whole family realize that they have flaws, and every family has flaws and they're going to make mistakes, and that's okay. But I mean, as long as we're doing what we can to fix those things, but like it's going to happen no matter what with every family. So I think that'll help them gain confidence.
Yeah, I agree.
Does anyone else have anything to say about resiliency?
I think we covered it.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure how long. She said it's supposed to be around an hour, I think. I'm not sure where we're at.
I think we're pretty close to it.
Yeah. Should
We've already talked about everything.
Whoever was taking notes, guys.
I think.
That's like the last little bit of it, is to go over what notes we have.
Oh. Yeah. Kayla, you were taking notes, right?
Here, I can make a Google Doc.
Yeah, I do have a lot of notes. They're really, really jumbled, and they just kind of are there as we talked.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, I have where let me just make this a little larger for myself. When we talked about how Jimmy thought that he was disliked by his mom because of the way she was acting, and then his mom thought that he was disliked by him in the way that he was acting, so everyone was, and the therapist helped them realize their feelings. And then also when we talked about them solving the problem on their own and learning how to solve the problem, as the therapist, direct them in which ways they should go, and giving everyone a chance to talk so that they can all get their feelings out there so that everyone can understand how everyone's feeling rather than just focusing on the people who are most talkative. And then emphasizing relationships by moving them from seat to seat as they talked about the different relationships. And just clarifying the ambiguity in it by restating what others have said in a more simple way. And then I have some notes that when we talked about how one moment isn't what makes a difference in a crisis, or wow, that was worded really poorly. How a crisis doesn't happen in one moment, but that it kind of is a continuous change over time, and then how they can see where they've come from and where they are now, the differences, and where they want to go as well. And then when we talked about the very beginning, where he had his jokes and how they somewhat took away from the session, and yet him being personable at the beginning and getting to know them was a great benefit to help them open up. And then there's a lot of repeats of things. And then when we talked about their reactions being normal, how them having mistakes and failures is a normal thing, and he even has them in his family. And that's, if there's something I missed, it may be in some of the other points that I kind of skipped over because they're repeats, but I'll try and have it up tonight and share the link tonight, and then I'll probably post it. I'll be submitting it probably sometime tomorrow afternoon.
Well, Mandy, are you making a Google Docs? Because then Kayla can just copy and
Yeah, I just made one. I shared it with everybody. So if you want to like put your notes in the paragraph form and put it on there, then we can all look at it and like edit it if we need to.
Yeah, and then you can just submit both of them, right, Mandy?
Yeah, I can, because it needs to be a Word document, so once it's done, I could just copy and paste it to a Word document and submit both things.
And then you'll submit that and the link for this.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll just put it on there, and then you guys can edit it as you see fit, and then you can submit it.
Sweet.
Okay. Well, awesome meeting, guys.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, if that is it.